Have you ever worked harder than anyone you know and still couldn't get ahead? Have you ever looked at someone who seems to do less than you and somehow they keep winning? Have you ever saved carefully, sacrificed quietly, done everything right, and still felt like the gap between you and financial freedom was getting wider, not smaller? If any of that lands, this story is for you. Marcus was not lazy. Let's be clear about that from the start. Marcus woke up at 6 a.m. every day. He worked a full shift at the warehouse, came home exhausted, ate cheap food, watched a little TV to decompress, and went to bed. On weekends, he picked up extra hours. He didn't go out much. He didn't spend recklessly. He believed, deeply, sincerely, that if he just worked hard enough, things would eventually turn around. He was 34. He had $600 in savings. He had 3 credit cards he rotated debt across, and a phone plan he'd been meaning to switch for 2 years because it was $30 cheaper somewhere else, but he never had the mental energy to deal with it. Marcus wasn't bad with money. He was tired, and tiredness makes every decision feel urgent and small at the same time. His neighbor Daniel was 36, same neighborhood. Daniel ran a small online business, nothing glamorous, just sourcing and reselling, and he spent most of his mornings at a coffee shop with his laptop. He didn't seem to grind the way Marcus did. He took Fridays off sometimes. He talked about his business like it was a problem he was solving, not a machine he was feeding. Marcus thought Daniel was lucky, or maybe connected, or maybe just born into something Marcus wasn't. He was wrong about all 3. One afternoon, Marcus ran into an older man at the community center. His name was Elliot. He was 68, retired, and had the calm, unhurried energy of someone who had solved most of his problems decades ago. They started talking, the way strangers sometimes do when neither of them has anywhere urgent to be. Marcus vented a little. About the hours, about the money, about watching other people seem to move forward effortlessly while he felt bolted to the floor. Elliot listened. Then he reached into his bag, pulled out a small notebook and a pen, and drew 2 circles side by side. "Imagine 2 men," he said. "Each one has a well. The first man carries water from the river to his well every single day. He is strong, he is disciplined, he never misses a day, but every bucket he carries, he also uses. He is always moving. He is never ahead." Marcus nodded. He already knew which man he was. "The second man," Elliot continued, "spends the first 6 months building a pipe. He is not carrying water during this time. He looks idle to his neighbor. People wonder why he isn't working, but when the pipe is finished, water flows while he sleeps." He capped the pen. "Most people spend their whole lives carrying buckets, not because they're lazy, because no one ever showed them how to build a pipe." Marcus stared at the 2 circles for a long time. "The difference between rich and poor," Elliot said quietly, "is rarely talent. It's rarely even effort. It's the question each person asks every morning. The bucket carrier asks, 'How much can I carry today?' The pipe builder asks, 'What can I build today that carries for me tomorrow?' Here is what separates these 2 modes of living, and it goes deeper than money. The bucket carrier trades time for money. The pipe builder trades money, or effort, or ideas, for systems. The person stuck in financial struggle often thinks about money in terms of this week, this bill, this paycheck, this emergency. The mental horizon is short, not because they're unintelligent, but because scarcity forces your brain into survival mode. Psychologists call it cognitive tunneling. When you're worried about rent, you literally cannot think clearly about retirement. Stress narrows the mind like a lens that can only focus on what's closest. The person building wealth, even from nothing, has learned somehow to hold 2 timelines simultaneously. What do I need right now, and what am I building for 3 years from now? They think about their time as a resource to be allocated, not just survived. They ask, almost obsessively, "Is this the highest value thing I could be doing right now?" The contrast shows up in lifestyle, too, but not in the way most people expect. The struggling person often looks like they're spending on luxury. The new shoes, the big TV, the expensive phone. This isn't stupidity. This is psychology. When you have no control over your future, you compensate by controlling your present. You buy the thing because it's one of the few areas where your choice actually works. The pleasure is real. The problem is that it pulls resources from the very place where leverage lives. The wealthy person, especially in the early stages of building wealth, often lives smaller than their income suggests. Not out of deprivation, out of intention. They are postponing visible consumption because they are addicted to a different feeling. The feeling of watching a system compound. One more contrast, and this one matters most. The poor mindset treats education as something that ends. The rich mindset treats it as infrastructure. Marcus hadn't read a book since high school, not because he was incurious, but because reading felt like a luxury he hadn't earned yet. Daniel listened to business podcasts on his morning walk. He spent $30 a month on a course platform. He talked to people who were 2 or 3 steps ahead of him constantly. He understood something Marcus didn't yet. Knowledge applied is the highest returning asset in existence. It doesn't depreciate. It compounds. Marcus didn't change overnight. That would be a lie, and you deserve the truth. What changed first was the question. He started asking every morning, even when it felt ridiculous, even when the answer was the same as yesterday. What can I build today that works for me tomorrow? He didn't quit his job. He didn't make a dramatic leap. He started small. He used 45 minutes every evening, a time he used to spend watching TV, to learn one skill, just one, digital marketing. It took him 4 months to feel competent, 8 months to take a first client, 14 months to make his first $1,000 outside of his wage. It was small, but it was a pipe. And here is the quiet truth about pipes. Once water starts flowing, it doesn't stop just because you're tired. His savings grew, slowly, then faster. Not because he suddenly earned more, but because his relationship to money changed. He stopped spending to feel control. He started saving to feel momentum. Those are completely different psychological engines. 3 years later, Marcus still wasn't rich, but he was free in a way he hadn't been at 34. He had options. He had a system. He had a pipe. Eliot's lesson, the pipe and the bucket, breaks down into 3 things you can do today. Not someday. Today. Rule 1. Audit your time like it's money, because it is. For 1 week, write down every hour you spend and label it, bucket or pipe. Most people discover they have 1 to 2 hours of pipe building time available that they are currently spending on passive consumption. That gap is your leverage point. Rule 2. Shift from income thinking to asset thinking. Ask yourself, what do I own that could work for me? It doesn't have to be real estate or stocks. A skill is an asset. An audience is an asset. A relationship is an asset. A reputation is an asset. Start treating one area of your life as a builder, not a spender of effort. Even one pipe changes everything. Rule 3. Shrink your time horizon for learning, expand it for results. The bucket carrier wants results now and avoids learning that takes time. Flip it. Commit to learning something for 90 days before expecting a return. Most people quit at day 12 because they can't see the pipe taking shape. The ones who get wealthy are often just the ones who stayed long enough to see the water flow. Marcus still thinks about the 2 circles Eliot drew in that notebook. Bucket, pipe. Every day, every decision is one or the other. Not every choice has to be a pipe. You're allowed to carry water. Life requires it. But if every choice is a bucket, if you have never once sat down and asked, what can I build that works when I'm not working, then you already know why the gap keeps widening. The river hasn't moved. You have. Start building the pipe. If this story changed how you see your own daily choices, share it with one person who needs to hear it. Sometimes the right story at the right moment is the pipe that changes everything.